that's straight and bright. By the light of the Word.
Today on Light of the Word with Pastor Ray.
Hey, have you found yourself drifting from where you should be? It's just real simple. Get back. Just leave. Do a Naomi. Even if it's 50 miles from where that place is that you are to where you need to be, get to where God's called you to be and stay there and be faithful there, even in the midst of a trial, and watch what God will start to do in your life.
Open your heart to us, Lord, so we can know your word. We come before you, Jesus. Speak to our hearts as we discover your love for us. How wide, how deep, how far. Pour into us so we can learn to follow. One surrender at a time. You have made the way for us to know you, a path that's straight and bright. By the light of the Word.
Are you drifting away from where you should be? As you listen to today's message from Pastor Ray, he teaches you that if you find yourself drifting from where God has told you to be, to turn back to Him. Don't overcomplicate it. Just get yourself back to where you were supposed to be. Pastor Ray encourages you that if you will go back to where God has called you to be, even in the midst of a difficulty, God will honor you for it. When you decide to turn back and stay faithful, watch what God will do within your life. Well, let's join Pastor Ray in the Book of Ruth, chapter 3, for today's edition of Light of the Word.
So just a recap of where we've been, chapter 1 and chapter 2. We'll cover all chapter 3 today. And in chapter 1 and chapter 2, the story is a woman named Naomi and her husband Elimelech. They have 2 children. Famine comes into Bethlehem, house of bread. They decide we got to get up and get out and get where the bread is flowing, and it's in Moab, outside the land of Israel, not where God called them to be. But they go because the physical looked more than applying what God called from the spiritual. They go to Moab. Things are going well, so it seems, but then Elimelech, he dies. Naomi's a widow. Her 2 sons, though, marry 2 women from Moab. And then the 2 sons die. Now you can imagine what the situation, the scene is like to be a widow in those times, to be a widow today. Now go back into an ancient time and imagine what it would be like to be widows. Ruth, Naomi, Oprah, they're left. Naomi, the mother, hears that God has visited Bethlehem and there's bread back in Bethlehem. She says, I'm going. You girls go back to your parents, go back to your gods of your land of Moab, which were vile gods, but I'm heading back to the Bethlehem. Oprah says, that sounds good to me, and Oprah leaves. Ruth says, I will not leave you. Your God will be my God. Where you go, I will go. And where you die, I will die. And so here they are. They come back to Bethlehem, widowed, broken, poor, no doubt. And then there's this chapter 2 where Ruth says to Mom, let me go and find some place to glean. They go, and she ends up by chance into a field by a man named Boaz, wealthy landowner. He is, in scriptural typology, a picture of Jesus Christ. Ruth becomes a picture of us, the bride. And so we come into this chapter 3. Ruth has caught the eye of Boaz. And now we come to chapter 3, and we're going to see Naomi start wheels a-turning. So with that, let's take a look at this love story, scripted in heaven. When it says that Jesus is the author and finisher of our salvation, he's also the author of this amazing book and this amazing story. So Ruth chapter 3, verse 1. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, my daughter, shall I not seek security for you, that it may be well with you? Now Boaz, whose young women you were with, is he not our relative? In fact, he's winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor. Your attention, please, to verse 1. Then Naomi said to her mother-in-law, shall I not seek security for you? Boy, we're a far cry from chapter 1, aren't we? Remember what Naomi had said to Ruth? Go back to your parents' house. Stay in this land. Go back to your gods. The god of Moab was Chemosh. Chemosh, human sacrifice, and things that I don't even want to mention, the deplorable things. And here Naomi says, just go home. Just go back to that. Find an unregenerated, unsaved Moabite man to marry. Go back to the god Chemosh. I'm heading to Bethlehem. And now here she is. She's back in the house of bread. She's back in the promised land. And the promised land stands for the promises of God. That's why it's the promised land. Yes, God promised you, Abraham, this land. But along with the promised land comes a promise. I'll be there. And I'll be your God. And as long as you follow me and honor me and keep my ways and commands, I promise you blessings. I promise to be your God. I promise to oversee you. I promise to protect you. And here Naomi is back into the promised land. And look at the wisdom that flows when a man or a woman is back where God calls them to be. When we're walking in the ways of the Lord, when we're in the place that God calls us to be, when we're not in that place that God says, not over there. I don't want you over there. I can't bless you over here. But if you stay here under this fount of blessing, which I promise you in my obedience to my word, I promise blessing. And with that blessing comes wisdom. It comes knowledge. It comes the very heart of God. Look at the compassion that she has. She actually cares about Ruth of being secure. She actually has a compassion for Ruth. She has a heart for Ruth now. What a difference it is, Christian, when we're where we're supposed to be. Hey, have you found yourself drifting from where you should be? It's just real simple. Get back. Just leave. Do a Naomi, even if it's 50 miles from where that place is that you are to where you need to be. Get to where God's called you to be and stay there and be faithful there, even in the midst of a trial, and watch what God will start to do in your life. So here, Naomi, wisdom is flowing. Things of understanding are coming. And look at this verse 2. It's, to me, it's the theme, the verse of the theme of chapter 3, even the whole book possibly. Now Boaz, so she's saying, that I may be well with you. Now Boaz, whose young women you were with, is he not our relative? In fact, he is winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor. Do you notice how she relates Boaz? Boaz, whose young women you were with. Isn't it interesting? It's not Boaz, whose field you found favor in. Isn't it interesting? It's not Boaz, who you dipped bread with in the vinegar in the last chapter. Isn't it interesting that it's not Boaz, the one who said, not only do you glean in this field today, but for the rest of the harvest, you come to this field. Not Boaz, the one who said, and I told these young men to keep their distance from you and not to harass you and to leave you alone. Not Boaz, the one who told his men, leave handfuls of purpose that Ruth can just easily glean instead of have to work so hard. Not Boaz, the one who said, drink from the water that my men provide for you. She doesn't say that. And all those things are amazing and awesome. What does she say? Boaz, whose young women you were gleaning with. You know what's being said? All these women in this field, all these women that are before Boaz, Boaz sees you. Boaz has captured and been captured by you and your heart. He's taken notice of you. All the other women He didn't say, come, dip your bread with me. All the other women, he didn't say, stay in this field and glean. All the other women, he didn't say, come, drink from this fountain, this water that's provided for you. All those other women, he doesn't say anything to them, but he says to Ruth all those things. All the women, Boaz recognizes Ruth. Boaz is a picture of Jesus Christ. And you are a picture of Ruth. And God tells us a story here of all the people in the world, all the billions of people in the world. I see you uniquely. I see you separately. And the amazing thing is his ability to do it to each of us individually. As a grain of sand, I see John like I see nobody else. John moves my heart and grabs my heart like nobody else in this room. Oh, John is so special to me. He raptures my heart. And then there's Cindy. I see her like nobody else in the room. She raptures my heart. She captures me. I'm so drawn to her. She's like none other. She's one of a kind to me. And being God, he has the ability to do it for every one of us. And as I do my morning devotion, I can sit there and go, God, I am separated. Right now is soul time between me and you. Even though I know 10 feet away is Renee doing her devotion. And I know that he can do the same. It's just me and you, Renee. It's just me and you. This time's just us. I only see you. But at just 10 feet away, he's like, Ray, it's just me and you. He's God. He has the ability to do that. And this is what he's saying. Of all the women here, I'm attracted to this one, this Ruth. Because back in verse 19 of chapter 2, notice, and her mother-in-law said to her, where have you gleaned and where did you work? Blessed is the one who took notice of you. Your God takes notice of you. In Psalm 139, 15 and 16, my frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret and skillfully wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. Your eyes saw my substance being yet unformed, and in your book there were written the days fashioned for me when as yet there was none of them. Amazing. All the other girls, Naomi says to Ruth, you're the one. You're the one that he's taken notice of. And that's this whole book, and that's this whole gospel. So verse 3, therefore wash yourself and anoint yourself, put on your best garments and go down to the threshing floor, but do not make yourself known to the man until he is finished eating and drinking. So here Naomi's saying, all right, my daughter, get yourself cleaned up. Wash up, put on your best perfume, put on your best dress, and go see Boaz. Can I ask you a question? Exactly how clean could Ruth get? How anointed with perfume could she be? And what was her best dress? I know Hollywood makes some great movies, but of course Hollywood, they do glamorize things a little. In Hollywood, their movie version is this beautiful dress and the beautiful hair and all these type of things. But let me ask you this. How much money did they have? Where were they living? You know, when you read through the rest of the book, it says Ruth goes back to the city. It never says about going back to home. I don't even know if Ruth and Naomi are living in a house at this point. They sold their house. Her husband sold the house before they went to Moab. So here they come back, a 50-mile journey, and they're coming back. How much money do they have in their pockets? So little money in their pockets that Ruth says to Naomi, let me go see if I can find somebody to give us favor and grace. They don't have enough money, and Ruth's point, to go glean in somebody's field because they don't have enough money to go down to the market and buy food, do they? They got to go find a field to get food to eat. And so little food do they have that when Boaz gave Ruth food in chapter 2, she holds some back so she can take it home and give it to her mother. If you were put out of your house today and your destination was the borderline of Pennsylvania, that's about 50 miles. Moab to Bethlehem is about 50 miles. If you were to leave today and to never come back to your house is gone. You're making a one-way trip. There's no returning to find what you can pick up. I left this here. I'll go back and get it in a month or two. You leave today, and that's all you do. You leave with what you can carry. How much do you carry as a woman? How much did she leave with? How much does Naomi, an older lady, what's she able to carry? Now, I know what this would look like for the Bolus family. There would be 50 miles of breadcrumbs, but they would be shoes. Because I know my wife would be starting with a Santa Claus pack of shoes, all 80 of them. Oops, I didn't count. I'm just making a number up. How far do you walk with 80 shoes? Put this pack down. I never really did like these two. I'm throwing this out, but I love these. Well, I'll tell you, probably about mile 10, that's it. Forget the shoes. I'm just glad to be carrying these small grapes and dates that I have. I'm thinking they're walking, and when they come into Bethlehem, they come in on vapors with the clothes on their back. How pretty could Ruth make herself? At the end, we're going to see, at the end of this chapter today, Boaz is going to load up her shawl to take home, and it's going to say 6 ephahs, but that's ephahs in italics. It's probably 6 portions. We're talking 50, 60 pounds of barley. How many of your fine silk shawls or scarves could carry 50, 60 pounds? They'd just rip right through. She doesn't have some fine Egyptian shawl that she's wearing. She's probably, if she's going to carry 50 or 60 pounds in it, which is a burden with that, we're talking this thing must be like a blanket. She's not dressed with beauty. Egyptian perfume, I doubt it. Egyptian perfume would have been sold off a long time ago. Fine dress, I doubt it. She's coming in on vapors. She's coming in poverty. And you know what, Christian? God's attracted to poverty. He's just drawn to poverty. And the honesty of poverty is the majority of people don't want to see it. I won't drive down that street. I know that's a street of poverty. I'm going to drive 2 streets over, and I'm going to see the glamour and the wealth. How many people come to a stoplight with a person in poverty and play with the radio, pretend they don't see them? That's the, I forgot to lock my doors. Always remember to pop the locks down when I come up to an intersection where there's poverty and people on the corner. Ruth is definitely not going to Boaz filled with the beauty that we would think of Hollywood. I don't even know how clean she can get because I don't even know if they have a house. She's going in poverty, and yet Boaz is going to be blown away. We'll read in a couple verses. Matthew 5:3. It's physical and spiritual application. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. If you're spiritually poor, if you're in poverty, or maybe you're in poverty physically today, God is attracted to you and he can't look by you. All the other women in the field, he sees you. He sees me. Verse 4-5. Then it shall be when he lies down that you shall notice the place where he lies, and you shall go in, uncover his feet and lie down, and he will tell you what to do. And she said, all that you say to me, I will do. Back in verse 2, she says, now Boaz, whose young woman you were with, is he not our relative? In fact, he's winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor. I don't buy it. Naomi's a woman. Women have this DNA in them. Matchmaking. Renee always will say to me when some young, single, regardless of age, single man, single woman, who can we fix them up with? So my answer is, nobody. Period. Nada. Zilch, we don't get involved in these things. No, but it's in a woman's DNA, and that's why I laugh. Here's Naomi. In fact, you can almost see that, crossing, puts her hand up to her. In fact, you know what? He's winnowing barley tonight. Now, I know Boaz is a rich landowner. He probably has several fields that he could be winnowing barley, but Naomi's like, in fact, I know which one he's at. You know why she knows? She's probably employed night vision goggles for the last however long this is. We don't know how long it is from chapter 2 to 3, but it's not immediately. That's what I can deduce through the readings. She's been employing night vision goggles. She's got her calendar. Monday, he's in field A. Tuesday, he's in field B. I wouldn't doubt if Naomi hacked his cell phone and then was doing GPS tracking on him, because she knows where he's at. And in fact, he's winnowing down at corner lot field. So this is our plan. Matchmaking Naomi. She's on the move. It's just in women, and it's in mothers. Oh boy, is it in mothers. My poor brother. Just let me humor myself for a minute, because growing up, it was always my poor brother. He's my older brother. Handsome man. I mean, he got all my mother's looks. I know that because I didn't get any of her looks. But, he got all my mother's looks. But for some reason, my mom always had to be trying to matchmake for my brother. Always. And it was kind of that, what's the chances? I invited you to lunch today, and here's this coworker here with me at lunch. And the coworker's like, well, you invited me for lunch today also. So there really isn't a coincidence here. You arranged this. And awkward. And my favorite, though, me and my brother are coming up from Florida. We were doing school and working down there through the years, coming back to Pennsylvania, come to spend Christmas with the family. And so my mother works at the hospital. There's 1,000 nurses at least. Mom has an annual Christmas party. Limited how many people you can really invite. So all these friends, you become real close with all the nurses in that environment. So she's friends with all of them. But this one year, there was this one that was very special to her. They were very close friends because she just happened to be single, and she just happened to be my brother's age. And she just happened to be the only one that was invited to the Christmas party out of all the other nurses. And so she comes to the Christmas party. We come up. And every year my brother stops at south of the border. And everybody knows where I'm going with that. Pedro says, chili today, hot tamale. And he loads up the trunk, half the trunk, with fireworks. So my mother says, this is going to be great. So we're going to have a break in the party, and you're going to put on this firework display. And so we had this big, huge sliding glass window, 10 feet wide, 10 feet high. And it went out onto our deck. And so everybody lines up in like a V, and I can still picture it today. And everybody's lined up, and they're inside the house, and they got this V, and everybody's looking down the row. And there's my brother. He's out there, and he's going to put on the firework display. And me and my friend Dean, we go out with him, and we're like, hey, no pressure. But if you blow this, you're never going to get a date with that girl, and you're going to embarrass yourself. And so we were making jokes about that. So he starts these fireworks. It's almost nothing to do with this story. Absolutely. He starts these fireworks, and everybody's like, ooh, ah. You can hear the claps, and ooh, ah, and all these type of things. And then he lights this one. It's supposed to be like a helicopter, and it spins up and explodes at like 6 foot level, which would be awesome because it's right at everybody's eye level. And it starts to spin up, and it goes 6 inches up, and then boom, it just powers down into the deck.
You have made the way for us to know you, a path that's straight and bright. By the light of the world.
We're so glad you joined us today on Light of the Word. Pastor Ray's message in the Book of Ruth was a great reminder of faith, courage, and loyalty, and how God is always working in your life and the lives of people around you. We pray today your faith in your Creator has been strengthened and that you're eager to follow Him no matter where He leads you. Are you in the midst of an adventure with the Lord right now? We'd love to be praying for you. So please send us a note and let us know how we can do that. You can email us at mail@ccaac.org. That's mail@ccaac.org. Do you live in or near Glen Burnie, Maryland? If so, we want to meet you. Come join us at Calvary Chapel of Anne Arundel County this Sunday at 10 a.m. for a time of worship, Bible study, and getting to know your brothers and sisters in Christ. Be sure to let us know you're a listener. Find out more about our church and get directions at ccaac.org. If you're not in the area, you can still join us virtually through our live stream. Find a link at ccaac.org. That's all for today. We're blessed to be a part of your life through this ministry, and we hope you've been blessed by God's Word today. Join us next time for more from the Book of Ruth, right here on Light of the Word, illuminating the heart of God.